Hello everyone, Ben here, and today we're looking at another series of cars that is just too good to miss on RaceRoom. Before we get going, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single race on this channel. We've got some cracking ones coming up this week. So today we're taking a trip back in time to the late 70s and early 80s with a huge grid of Group 5 cars at Watkins Glen. And honestly, this is perhaps the most fun I've had on a racing sim for a long time. These cars are wild, but don't be intimidated by them. You don't need to be a sim racing alien with perfect heel-toe technique to enjoy these cars. Perhaps the best comparison I can make is driving one of these is like watching that Neil Armstrong film where at the beginning he's re-entering the Earth's atmosphere and you get this sense of speed and intensity but also imminent death. And even though you're racing in a sim in the comfort of your home, it really does feel like driving these things is dangerous and takes real bravery. We're going to be particularly looking here at the Zakspeed Capri. I haven't yet tested the other cars that come in the Group 5 pack, but there's also BMWs, Corvettes, and a couple of Nissans to choose from as well. And once again, we're racing against the AI in a huge grid of over 40 cars. Like, how awesome is that? I enjoy driving GT3s. And touring cars and other more mainstream categories. I also enjoy driving cars that are faster than these, things like modern prototypes or F1 cars. But honestly, none of them feel as alive and as aggressive as these cars. And when the turbo kicks in, the sensation of speed is incredible. And these cars aren't called monsters for nothing. They are a handful, and you do have to be measured with your inputs, braking and acceleration in particular. It's also true that they can feel a bit sluggish and lazy when it comes to slowing down or understeering if you haven't got the pace off the car heading into a corner, or if you're going in too fast. So you do have to get on the brakes quite early, feather that throttle on the exit. But man, when you get the hang of it, there's really nothing quite like it. Before I say any more, let's just have a listen to the sound of these things as we come across the start-finish line at the end of lap 1. Pretty awesome, right? Now, sound is one of the things that RaceRoom does best, but these are just another level. I mean, I could barely hear crew chief there as I was coming across the start-finish straight. Again, this is a really good showcase of the AI as well. They're fighting each other right the way through the pack, as well as fighting me. And you can see that across the car park there are real strengths and weaknesses of different cars. It doesn't really feel throughout this race like we're necessarily the quickest in a straight line, but we are gaining time back through the corners, as you can see here, as we're able to take to the outside, and other cars up ahead are battling, and we're going to try and just get a little run down into this left-hander here. We do give the car ahead a little bit of a love tap there, didn't quite get the braking right, but we both managed to get through the corner okay, so I guess that's fine. And we're now heading into the banked uphill right-hander. Watkins Glen, which was released just before Christmas, is such a fantastic track. It's one of my favourites in sim racing anyway, and there's been lots of good representations of it in other games, but I really do think this one is right up there. To wrestle these cars around it really does allow you to relive the sports car racing scene in America in the early 80s so well. Now, I'm absolutely sure that I'm not extracting the maximum from these cars in this video here, and with more practice and more time spent, I would get quicker and be more aggressive, start sliding through the corners a bit more, and really kind of eking out every last bit of pace. It's also true that I'm using the auto clutch and paddle shifters rather than something more authentic, and I'm sure that if I used the proper shifting, then that would add a whole new level of immersion and also challenge, and that'll be brilliant. But even now, with the limited time in the car and with the setup that I've got, it's absolutely fantastic. And I don't even really care about winning this race. In fact, starting so far back in the pack, I'm definitely not going to win this race. I'm just having too much fun enjoying racing through the pack and jostling with the AI. So if you haven't tried these cars in RaceRoom, if you've got access to them, if you're a premium pack owner, or if you've bought them in a different pack in the past, it's so worth having another go and just indulging a bit in some absolutely vintage racing. Having said that, I don't care about winning. We are just over the half distance mark of this race, and I am thinking about how high up the grid we can finish. And I suppose at this point of the race, I was thinking, well, let's try and get into the top 20. That seems a reasonable aim. A couple of seconds up the road. You'll notice throughout the kind of footage that's been playing so far, despite the fact that it's a reasonably long lap at Watkins Glen, because we've got so many cars on track, the pack has really kind of stayed quite tightly bunched together. There hasn't really been any room to breathe in the race so far, which is just brilliant as well. There hasn't been that kind of stretching out of the field. Instead, every corner is a battle back and forth with the AI as we go, and that's still going now as we enter the kind of second half of this race. So that's my aim, to try and get into the top 20 as we come across the finish line there. I'm fast forwarding now to the end of the race, because ultimately it took us that long to make any progress. We've only just now squeezed up into 22nd place. It was a really kind of hard battle over the previous laps, and we're coming now into the last two corners where I'm going to hopefully try and make one extra spot with a bold move into the final corner, but I don't actually need to, because the car's gone wide, got it wrong. That's given me a place for free, but we're going to come across the line now, not quite in the top 20, but in 21st position. But as I say, the finishing position really wasn't the point here. For me, this was all about sheer enjoyment, and that's what these cars give you if you're prepared to take just a bit of time to get used to quite a different driving experience. They are fast, they are loud, they are brutal, but they are such good fun. So in between, the usual races in touring cars or the GT3s, give these a go, and I absolutely guarantee you'll have a blast as well. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Do like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single race, and I'll see you next time.